Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dicebreaker, where we've got a stream of which we've never done before. This is
hmm
a live design slash modeling stream where we're going to be joined by some gang from the Steam Forge Games team who are actually going to be live in front of us with your suggestions, making a brand new model which will be printed and will be available to grab and to paint. Genuinely, I'm really excited about this. This is really
So
cool.
cool, yeah.
So we've got Russ's view like sort of live through Discord. But yeah, Thomas and Russ are here from Steamforge. Hello, thank you very much. Don't chuck things at me.
You chucked it at me!
I'm streaming.
Hello.
Is that a
Sorry, I've
fiend?
got background noise. But yeah, we've got a pretty exclusive access to sort of like the behind the scenes of how these things work. So I'm going to hand over to Russ to give us a sort of like intro to what Animal Adventures is, and then to what we're going to be doing today. So Russ, take it away.
Thank you. So hi everyone. I'm Russ. I'm the lead sculptor at Steamforged, and Animal Adventures is kind of a project that I've been working on in the company for. Well, this is our fourth Kickstarter.
Wow.
This will be. This was a project that it started life as Dungeons and Doggies back in 2018 with myself and the amazingly talented April Prime designing. Let's make Dungeons and Dragons heroes that are dogs. And that was a crazy idea that turned into a set of models that were really well received. We followed it up with Cats and Catacombs, and then the last 2 years, last year and this year, we've developed the idea into a full campaign setting. So Animal Adventures now lets you play as a whole host of different awakened animals. We've expanded this year with the Faraway Sea, which is our new Kickstarter book. Is a setting in which you can play cats, dogs, alpacas, rabbits, orangutans, albatrosses, all sorts of different animals. I think there's like
I know, I'm so excited. This is like
um
this is the dream. Carry on.
yeah, so it's the idea is these are awakened animals, so they've got the same sort of levels of intelligence as classic D&D player character races, but they are still classically cats, dogs, koalas, otters, or what have you. They're not little human shapes with animal heads; they are the actual animal, and designed so that you can play a completely animal-based campaign, or you can drop it into an existing campaign world. And most of the artwork in the book features, tieflings and elves and dwarves and dogs and cats and rabbits all working together as noble adventurers, or sell swords, or whatever you want to play. So that's and in a nutshell what Animal Adventures is. And this particular campaign is all about the Faraway Sea, which is a mysterious setting out in the ocean where magical islands appear and disappear from the mists, and are ripe for adventure, exploration, and treasure hunting. As you race against time, can you locate and solve the mysteries of the islands before they're swallowed once more, possibly taking your characters with them if you're not quick enough.
All
So there we
right.
go. That's the setting.
So
That's
we've
so
got,
cool.
we've got a pretty cool sort of model to work with here as well, because I mean you can probably tell it's like a sort of bloodhound doggy that we're working with, but we're going to be and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to be creating a model for the new class that is exclusive to the Faraway Sea, which is the Watcher.
Yes.
Legally distinct, the Watcher.
Right. Gotcha.
So
the
the deal with the Watcher. So back in Gullet Cove, we introduced the concept of the Order of the Golden Collar, which is like a noble organization of animal adventurers. They're a sort of guild designed around holding forth sort of virtues, protecting the innocent, that kind of thing. And we alluded to, but didn't develop in that book, the Watchers, who are an organization that work sponsored by the Order of the Golden Collar, but kind of work in the shadows as monster hunters and defeaters of evil. Their slogan is "Hunt the Wicked," and the idea behind them is to be that sort of silver sword wielding, come in your hour of need, defend your village from the creatures that lurk within type of character. So in game terms, it's an interesting spin on a martial character type with a few new unique abilities that gives it a pretty unique flavour. Back in the Gullet Cove campaign, we introduced a Wolfhound miniature called Gallet, who was our sort of suggested Watcher character, which Tom did the design for. It looked absolutely fantastic. If you know, I want you to imagine what Henry Cavill would look like as a Wolfhound. You now know what that miniature looks like.
I'm so confused, but delighted.
But in this campaign, we're introducing the Watcher as a full class. So this is an opportunity to develop a Watcher miniature that will be part of our regular range. Gallet was a Kickstarter exclusive for Gullet Cove, but due to popular demand, he is also available in the current campaign as part of a box set. There is, in fact, a parody song, "Toss a Bone to Your Watcher," which is available on the updates page, which may be familiar to anyone who's got a Netflix subscription. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, Russ.
No, nor do I. And for legal purposes, nor does anyone at my company.
Nope.
What's that?
Yeah, so we're going to be taking suggestions from you in the live chat. We've also got some suggestions from Kickstarter that we can fall back on as well. But yeah, this is going to be a live design stream. So this is not just sort of like, you know, like a behind the scenes of things that have already been done. This isn't like a Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. Like, we're going to be doing this live. So if you've got like sort of items that you want to see on there, or like certain bits of clothing or little motifs that you think would look cool, now's your time to tell us, because this model is being designed live, and then it's going to be made, and I'm quite excited to hopefully paint it at some point.
Absolutely,
as well.
yeah, definitely.
So
I think I was just going to say it's probably a good idea. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. If you think somebody would be interested in coming to hang out, let them know. Bring them in.
Yeah. And then subscribe. Sorry, carry on, Russ.
That's okay. All I was going to say was we've arranged with our prototyping team that if we get a good headway today and I can get this model finished at the early part of next week, we will get a prototype printed up and maybe even slap some paint on it so people can see the finished model before the end of the campaign.
Amazing.
That is the plan. You know.
I can't wait to see people's ideas. I mean, we did a similar live stream for Bard Sung, which was last year, and I was in charge of doing the sculpting for that. And someone said, "Oh, we need a hamster in his pocket." And did we think we're going to put a hamster in a ranger's pocket? No, but we did, and it's in the final mini, and that's going to be shipped to people like at some point. It's insane.
Yeah,
and
we thank you.
Hamster.
Punk hamster.
Yeah, it's got a sword,
tiny Mohican.
everything. Yeah.
I don't know what they look like, but I love them.
I feel like we've got a lot of pressure here, Liv.
I know. Oh.
Whilst we're waiting for ideas to come in, I'll just quickly talk through some of the processes that we're going to go through, because it'll help ground people's ideas in what kind of things they want to suggest. So, obviously, having said we're not Blue Petering it, I didn't think anyone wanted to watch me sculpt a bloodhound from scratch, so I have prepared a model ahead of time. But this is obviously extremely neutral. It's just a default posed model based on the default dog that comes with the sculpting software as one of their library of models. So we, at this point, can go in whatever direction we want to. We can think in terms of posing. You know, it's going to have a base. What we'll do just to ground it in some sort of reality is we'll drop a cylinder in, and we'll quickly add an object that can serve as a base, because that gives us it gives us some context for our model. So, you know, we can put stuff on the base. You know, if we want to design a you know, he can be nose to the ground, trailing a monster through a collection of broken rocks and leaves, or maybe he's standing on a piece of masonry, or, you know, head up, searching nobly into the distance. There's lots of things we can do. We don't know if the character is a male dog or a female dog. We tend not to want to push the sculpts in a particular direction, because we like people to have lots of ownership over the character when they get them. So in terms of the character, what we do with it, that's it's all up for grabs, really. So yeah, we'll think about posing. We'll think about the context that we want to put into the scenery of the bases. We'll think about the equipment that the dog is wearing. And just to give an example of that, I'll tell you what we'll do is I will quickly jump into Animal Adventures, Faraway Sea, Sculpting, Westie Fighter, and we'll pull open an example character, which is our West Highland Terrier.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love this model. So good.
Oh, look at him go.
Oh.
So this is a good example of using scenic elements and pose to sort of sell the concept and the character of this little kind of Scott fighter. It's kind of like a tiny little William Wallace sort of thing going on here. So this is very much the kind of thing that we're working towards achieving. So we go from our very static dog to something with a bit more character and life in it.
I just want to say a huge shout out to Electric Eve on Twitter. She's the most amazing paint job of this little Westie. Little Scottish flags on the boots and tartan scarf. Oh, it was stunning.
Yeah, she took these because on the feet you've got these little crossover.
Yes.
So she painted these elements blue and she painted the straps white, so they just look like little flags there.
I've never wanted to paint something more in my life, I will say. Extremely good boys all around.
Yeah, we've already had some cool ideas in the chat, by the way. Phil Connolly
Okay.
asked if we can weaponize the ears in some way.
Weaponize the little flails.
But yeah, we need to start thinking about a pose first, I guess, because that's going to...
A pose is good, yeah. I mean, we can start with clothes and equipment, but if we pose the model first and we're adding those things once it's imposed, it's less parts to kind of shove around. And of course, if we've got an idea for something really cool, like someone suggests a really nice, like, a broken statue like you might see in the background of Lord of the Rings, and we don't have time to sculpt it now, what we can do is we can drop in a fairly simple shape to pose around, and then I can polish that up at a later date. So, we don't need to feel restricted by our time. I can take the best ideas and we can move them forward, and I'll finish developing it.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's not we have to get it done in 2 hours, and if it's not done, then that's just what's getting printed.
Yeah. Literally half done. Just all the upper torso and then lower half not done. Yeah. So we've got a suggestion of you got nose in the air, nose to the ground, like you said before.
Yeah,
something sniffing would be good.
Which is good. Although we had I think Manny Dread already asked for the nose in the air as well. I think smell is going to be like a big sort of like seller for this, because
really big.
First of all, it's a bloodhound, right? But also kind of like hunting out danger and the wicked and the monsters, right? So kind of like
let's jump into our Tpose mode, which lets us take all of our elements and start to move them around. So when I'm in this mode, I can use this widget to move selectively parts of the model, so we can start moving things around. Let's see what he would look like. Oh, it would look like if it was, say, upright, more upright, and we wanted that sense of the character being on a rock. So this is going to be very rough to start with. I just want to sort of throw some ideas out there. So maybe
somebody suggested a tombstone. That could be really cool.
Oh, that could be really cool, yeah. So, we could have the character kind of looking up off to one side with maybe 1 foot on the tombstone.
Yeah, it's a good sort of searching pose, isn't it?
Yeah, we could have let's just blur.
Oh, it could be one of those tombstones that's fallen over, like as a ramp. So you got the ramp leading up.
Oh, yeah. And then, we can
dance.
Zombie graveyard. Let's go.
An undead hunting. Right. I'm just throwing this, so you start to see that we can create something this way very, very quickly. So you can imagine putting the stone in there. So this would be a possibility for a pose for sure, definitely.
Yeah, Nicholas Jurkin in the chat just said nose in the air, head tilted sideways towards the smell of danger, which I think is kind of the vibe that we've got going here.
Yeah, so what's interesting about doing the head tilt is let's just isolate. Let's make sure I take the eyeball. So if we were to...
don't want to leave those behind.
We don't want to leave those behind. So if we tilted, would we tilt that way or would we tilt that way?
I think it would be, if he's turning his head, you'd sort of rotate chin
He'd
first,
lean into it, wouldn't he? Kind of like that. Because then, of course, what we can do is we can zoom right in and we can grab an ear.
Oh yeah.
Here come the ears.
Because we need to think about that gravity. So, we've got
Or is it flapping in the wind?
Tiny bit of jowl.
Or is it flapping in the wind?
Long, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look at that ear.
So yeah, we could.
Lau Holtum suggested howling as well. That's a good one.
Oh, howling could be fun.
Little.
Ow.
Just want to move this to put a bit of motion into it.
Oh, yeah.
He's swinging his head almost.
And then same thing with this one. I'm going to keep opening this mini menu. What I'm doing when I'm dragging, the dark areas are masked off, so they're not affected by what I'm doing.
Right.
And then I'm blurring it so we get a nice smooth transition between the areas that are and aren't affected. And while I've got it masked like this, I can grab these parts and move them without it distorting his face. So then we start to
Monroe vibe at the moment.
Yeah,
it does.
Beautiful.
It's got he's like he's just stepped out of the salon.
So majestic.
So Bams in chat kind of went on the same wavelength that I was thinking, because we've had people say, "Oh, what about howling?" But I think you'd always have a bit of a growl, like teeth bared a little bit if he's smelled danger. It's kind of
he's
like,
on the scent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. There's probably a little bit too much movement in those ears, if I'm honest.
Oh,
We'll bring them in a bit.
It's a tiny bit flamboyant.
I mean, I don't mind it though.
I don't mind that. No.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's go. Let's leave them like that for a second. What I'm going to do is, one of the things that's really interesting about when you're working on models generally is their eyeline is really critical because it sets the line of intent. So what we want to do is we want to move the model so that our default front, our character's looking at us, and then if we think the model's going to be on the table, we can have him looking slightly up. But just for now, just so that we are feeling that intention, I'm going to tip the head forward, because if he's looking directly at us, it'll just feel like a more intentional pose.
Sure. I'm so distracted by just everything going on. I'm just like, oh, this is.
We'll do that.
So fascinating.
Obviously, at the moment, of course, this. I mean, again, this is something I would fix in slower time, but it's really bothering me how bad this joint is. So I'm just going to move it like that for now, so that's slightly better, and then I'll do a proper clean up on it later.
I feel like me and chat are having like a sort of mind link moment, because I was going to ask if you had any models with sort of prosthesis or like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I think so. A few people said maybe like a 3-legged dog. Because I think if you're sort of like a monster hunter, like getting into danger and stuff, you're going to be a little betten up, right?
Yeah,
you absolutely are. So yes, we could totally do that. Let me I'm just going to adjust this leg slightly. So if we wanted to do that, what injury would we want to do? Because obviously I've seen pictures of disabled dogs with both forelegs and hind legs missing. So if there's a view as to which leg we want to consider adjusting. Why is that not okay?
Yeah, because you can get the wheel-assisted back legs.
Yeah.
Stefan, come in the chat. I swear, I might as well
that was
be
word for word.
I think it's scripted. What's going on?
It's very weird.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, because you can get the sort of like dog wheelchairs with the sort of like attached wheels on each side as well, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Yeah,
it'd be quite cool to have like a sort of those kind of like medieval style prosthetic legs with like the big leather straps and stuff. Would be quite cool as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. We'll get to that in just a second, because I kind of dig in that idea. One thing I just want to do. Oops. Good idea if I hold the right button down. One thing I just want to do is put a little bit of curve into his body, because if he's turning again, we want that line of action to be followed through with the anatomy. It's only going to be a short turn, but it'll help. Yeah, it'll help sell the
bringing him to life.
The pose, bring him to life.
Yeah,
makes him feel less stiff as well. If you've got really
it does. Yeah.
Mm.
And what everyone noticed that like Russ is always changing his angles and his views all the time while he's working because you're working in 3D, you really got to check every single angle just to make sure that is it right from this angle and that angle. Really,
back in the day when I used to do a bit of teaching of basic 3D modeling tools. It's surprising how often people would have something on the screen that looked amazing from one angle, but it was like one of those weird magic perspective puzzles. Like from every other angle, it looked just bizarre.
So we had a couple of suggestions for maybe like a torn ear as well, because this is a dog that's seen a lot of fights. So I think
yeah, I like battle damage. Works for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. For now, let's just knock that tail down a little.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we'll do in a moment is, although this isn't going to be the final pose because there's a lot of an anatomical adjustment needed around the legs and the feet placement, we'll roll with this as our basis, and then do some work on it. So what we need to do now is we go back to our plugin. Actually, I press 9, the most important key in ZBrush because it crashes so often.
Yeah, I assumed it was a save. Yeah.
We'll extract back to our high-res model. So there, now we transferred the pose back to our detailed model. We can now start to get into some specifics. So let's drop that down. And he needs to be on something. Did somebody suggest a gravestone?
Yeah, like a tombstone.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
what?
I think if we've got any suggestions for the kind of like terrain as well, let us know about that, because it's the thing about miniatures. Like, you think about, oh, okay, well, what's the pose, what's the equipment and stuff, but actually some of the most fun bits are like, oh, actually, they're on this like massive staircase, or all those kind of things. They can really bring a model to life.
See, that's a really interesting point, because recently in the past few years we've actually been introducing like a lot of scenic elements to our miniatures, like completely different than we usually do, because we're very used to just making miniature on a base. We're like, how can we make this more dynamic, more interesting, more immersive? And like a lot of people love doing their own bases, but there's also a lot of people who don't have the time to detail an entire make a tombstone from polystyrene or something. So we've been doing a lot more detail on our bases recently. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Marcy, it could be a gravestone, or it could be a fallen pillar, which would be also pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah,
let's just make a modification to it, or possibly crash ZBrush, one or the other. Which will it be?
Let's find out.
Dun, 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 dun.
While we wait for this this surprise, I have a logistical question.
Yeah.
Can the dogs have swords? And how would it work?
Can the dogs have swords?
I know.
This is a 5e based role playing. Okay,
I know exactly, but it's kind of like, would a dog wear trousers like this or like this? Like, does he hold it by the mouth? Or like, does he?
Well,
what does he do?
I mean, we've got the experts here, so
yeah.
How do these dogs and cats and alpacas and all sorts wield their weapons?
Generally speaking, right? Okay, so we have had a crash.
Okay. Good thing you pressed 9. You saved. So
that was very recent.
Is the stream? I can't tell from my end. Obviously, are we back up with the screen again?
The stream has ended. Cricket noise is what we see.
Oh no, I've put us back into a 4-panel camera. Don't worry. So currently it's just webcams, but you just let me know when the stream is back, and I'll
okay, we are coming back.
Here we go.
I'm afraid this is one of the things that we may have to just get used to with ZBrush. It is a bit. It can be a little flaky.
To be honest, this is why. So normally we'll make like a custom frame and stuff. I wanted to keep it quite loose because I know what both Discord and ZBrush can be like. So I wanted it to be quite fluid.
Okay, right. I am I am not, in fact, going to try and dynamesh this cube this time. Which apparently it was just too much.
Right. A bit too fiddly, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically what Dynamesh does is it takes an object that's like this cube, which is it's very, very few polygons, so there's not a lot you can do with it, and it turns it into something that's much more sculptable.
Right.
And I might just, because I'm throwing caution to the wind, I might just drop Dynamesh to its lower resolution, try one more time, and crash ZBrush again. But this time I'll do a quick save.
Oh, look, we love a bit of risk. Let's give it a go.
We love a bit of risk.
And if this crashes, I'll make you a tombstone and pop it over in chat.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
It did it. It did it.
Woo!
But yeah, that's amazing. At the lowest Dynamesh setting, it came in at 1.6 million polys, which is
Ooh.
that's a lot of polys.
That's a lot of polys, I was going to say, yeah.
So
It's
I guess
probably more than we need.
we've got the object if we're doing a sort of gravestone tombstone vibe, but I saw someone suggest that maybe we could have like sort of boggy terrain. So maybe we've got like a sort of swampy base. You know, we can have like moss and vines, things like that. If there's...
I
Oh
love,
yeah,
I
we could
love
totally
sculpting
do that.
puddles. I love sculpting puddles so much.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
on the base of the monk rabbit for Animal Adventures, I was like, right, it's a monk rabbit. I want a really cool like Japanese onsen inspired environment. You got a little stream, there's a little puddle, there's some bamboo shoots going on. Like, I love sculpting that stuff. It's just secret passion that is.
I don't want
to
to
get into terrain modeling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste too much time sculpting the pillar when we're here to see the awesome dog. But just to give us some sense of setting, I am just going to make a couple of small adjustments to it, just to create a little bit of a surface detail.
Nice. I'm trying to. I briefly learned how to 3D model, but not very well. I'm trying to remember all the terminology, which this is the opposite of extrude, I think.
Yes, I suppose you call it an inset.
Okay.
Probably.
I thought it might be in something if it's the opposite of X something. Yes.
Joshua Carver says, could we have one of Dicebreaker team's names on the gravestone?
I see how it is, Joshua. I see how it is.
I don't know if that's a nice comment or a quite morbid.
Foreboding.
Yeah.
See, I didn't think of it that way. Oh no.
Oh, we've got the skulls ready to roll. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Big fan of that.
If you don't have a skull immediately to hand, are you even a traditional miniatures designer?
You don't put skulls on everything.
We could. I'm just thinking about the name on the gravestone. What if we just have like Dicebreaker, but it's Dicebreaker, and it's just very.
God.
It's very focused on the DIE aspect.
Right,
No way.
Ladies, are you still available for the stream? I'm just gonna.
No, please, Wheels, let me stay. I'm having a great time.
Just holding my phone up to my headphones there. Real immersive.
Yeah. So real. Oh wow, the
Okay.
cracks on it.
That's
Oh.
very cool.
I think I've probably spent enough time, wasted enough time playing with this stone now. But it gives us a context. This will not, I should hasten to add, be the final version, but it gives us some context. Right, so let's think about.
Slamming in the background, by the way. There's a lot of wind blowing through my flat. I don't know if it's picking up.
That's
the camera.
quite all right.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's think about our character in more detail then. So we're talking about we'll maybe be taking a leg off, which would be really cool. I'm really digging that idea. We're thinking about things that we can do to the head, the face in particular. We can look for trying to find an expression. Obviously, at the moment, the face is quite neutral, but we have the opportunity to come in here and start to, if we wanted to move elements around on the face, we can close an eye.
Ooh.
Oh, wow, yeah. They're very expressive, those eyes.
Yeah.
For-
It's got a real
for
Gromit
example.
vibe.
Yeah.
Can we
He's onto
Can
something.
we lift his jowl up and get some teeth going? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I'm just going to, on my other screen, I am going to quickly find a picture of a bloodhound snarling and see how that.
gonna
Get
say,
a reference.
They've
Sure.
got a lot of jowl.
Yeah.
Like
They're
there's a
very
lot going
jowly.
on there.
Mhm.
There is a lot of jowl.
Mhm.
Can they
Big.
even snarl?
Big jowl energy over here.
They can snarl inside. Yeah.
Whilst we're waiting
I-
for- Oh, sorry, Karen.
No joke. There is not a single image result on
Oh,
Google.
they're
for
just so
bloodhound
docile.
They're just
They're
such friendly
so
animals.
chill.
Why
Yeah.
would they ever need to growl?
It's like it seems to be regardless of what you search for bloodhound, you just get pictures of them staring mournfully into the middle distance.
Oh, buddies.
Okay, I'm gonna Google image search growling bloodhound. Oh no,
Okay.
they're all just very nice.
They're all just being adorable.
It's,
Okay, I searched
Buddies.
angry bloodhound and there is nothing. Like there is
Who named these guys? Because Bloodhound is a very aggressive name for what appears to be a very sweet dog.
I guess it's the scent thing rather than the aggression.
Yeah, scent of the blood on the ground or blood in the water. I don't know, something like that.
Oh, I love that. Joshua Carver has also asked if we could have a monster teeth necklace.
I was going to say that's very good.
I like that idea a lot.
I dig that.
Skulls, teeth, and spikes. That's
Yeah.
the holy trinity of miniatures.
I will say that Joshua Carver's smashing it. Joshua Carver was also the person who suggested the gravestone. I mean, knocking it out of the park.
Maybe this, maybe we're going to end up calling this dog Carver or something.
Ooh.
At the current rate of progress.
To be fair.
I mean, it is good. It is good.
Okay. Okay, I quite like that. We'll stick with this for now. That's kind of cool. Right, let's think about some clothing to get the ball rolling. I can imagine him having some sort of tunic that covers the midsection of the body, because that would be
maybe like a sort of gambeson.
Like heavy leather.
Yeah.
Like heavy stitching and
versatile, right? But
I have no idea what a gambeson is.
It's like a sort of padded. You traditionally wear it underneath plate, so it's like a sort of
it's
almost quilted jacket that's like padded and leather strapped and stuff.
Gotcha.
Magical anime cats is definitely leather.
We're going to use a. Actually, I'm going to do this a different way. This may be a terrible idea. Actually, no, I'm not going to do what I was about to do. It is a terrible idea.
Oh my goodness! Now I'm curious, but yes, sure.
Just the selection makes it look like he's wearing a hoodie. So
yeah,
I was gonna say.
Yeah. So what I'm trying
to
do
be quite cool though, to be fair, because he's he's sort of like a traveler, right? So he'd be out on the road.
Yeah, I would definitely. We can put a hood on him for sure. That's a really great
like
idea.
Ranger, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the mask function, and I'm dragging these masks to cover the area of the body that I want to create the jacket from. Then what I'm going to do is that we've got this amazing function over here called extract.
Right.
So if I hit this button, it'll have a little think, and then it will generate a new. And then all I have to do is find a thickness that I think feels right. That looks pretty good.
He's got to be warm while he's out in the forest.
Wow.
We've got
It's great because he's already really foldy as well. So
yeah.
So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick save. Always quick save. I'm going to use the I'm going to remesh it, which will give me a slightly more workable surface, and we'll start to work with that. It'll need like you say, we're going to put a hood, because the hood will be really nice because he's got the folds in his neck, and then if we put a heavy hood that's gathering around his shoulders, it's going to kind of echo the elements that are already there, and I really like it when we are able to bring those themes and have them flow through the different elements of the model. Okay, so you can see from the patterning. So it's just so that everyone's clear. What's happening when we're sculpting on the model. We're actually just working with these little square shapes, these polygons with corners, and on the detail model, it's the same thing. They're just really, really tiny.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so by what we can do is, if I subdivide them, Control D on my keyboard, it just cuts them all in half. So each single one gets divided half and half and becomes 4 smaller ones.
Right.
So by doing that, we can skip between being small enough to give us lots of detail. Small enough that they're easy to manipulate, and dense enough that they're that we can put lots of small detail into them. So what we can do now is we'll subdivide it once. Let's actually, now that we've got the Z remesh, I'm going to do a thing. I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to go back to the original. And we're going to go back to where it's these 2 different colors. The colors represent selection edging. And so what I can do is, let's put a little, grab the curved tube, see how big that is. Oh, it's too big. That's a little small. And as goes lots would say, that's just right. And we're going to use, so ZBrush can read the difference between these two colors as a border. So by dragging across here and holding the shift button, I can create a scene, which gives.
Oh wow,
this is fascinating.
it's so cool.
So
I'm
this is going to
completely geeking
enable
out,
us.
honestly.
Oh, that went a bit crazy. Let's try that again.
There we go. Oh,
come on, you can do it, ZBrush.
come on,
we
Tim.
believe.
Come
Yeah,
we believe in you.
we definitely do.
This is like you know the bit in the pantomime where all the kids are told to chant that they do believe in Tinkerbell. This is the 3D sculpting equivalent of that.
We had quite a few people suggesting that they're wielding like a sort of, not wielding, but they have like a sort of plushie attached to their belt. Because
that's kind of cool.
It's definitely a vibe. They don't want it to be like 100% grim fantasy. You want some nice hero vibes. But I quite like the idea that it's like, it could almost be like a small child that gave it to them or something after saving the village.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Their owner.
I like that a lot.
Oh, we're coming up with the lore here. I love that.
Hey, that's actually really important. Like,
yeah, telling the story of the character.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to inflate these.
What background do we think that this guy has? Chat, have a little think.
Are you going D&D backgrounds?
Oh no, I was thinking of just like the story background,
okay.
but also that if you want.
The story of the character can be a huge part of the design process for us. Right, let's do some stuff to this. So we want this to be leather. So to make it feel heavy, we're going to put a few. So the thing about heavy leather is as a material, it will have a lot of folding and gather around high flex areas, so around the limbs, but almost none in low flex areas.
Right.
Whereas normal fabric will bend wherever. And so what we want to do is we want to do a little bit of selective sculpting to sort of invoke the type of fabric that we want, and then we can reinforce that with some of our detailing. So I'm just gonna, again, we're trying to put in our big beats at the moment, and then I can refine this off stream. So we just want to establish that these are going to be where our areas of high traffic folds are going to be, which will help sell the movements.
What's amazing with ZBrush as well is it's literally like sculpting clay. Like it's very
it really is. It's digital clay. And then we can do let's do some cool. So let's go.
We had someone ask about studs, which I think would be a good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That seems like a plan. Let's turn this on. So what I'm going to do here, this is a little. You see this circle that's half white, half black. That means that half of the brush is going to pull out and half's going to push in. The effect on the surface is this kind of layered slash.
Okay.
So we can use this to basically create panels.
Right.
So I'm just gonna create some paneling. And we'll go up here. Let's go this way. Obviously, I can control which bits up and which bits down, and then we'll come up here, and that will give us I'm going to press Ghost Mode, which sort of semi-hides the other elements, so that we can get a clean stroke, like so. I'm going to do the same thing here. Clean stroke. Like
I just want to mention that the chat's gone for like the classic like very sad backstory of a D&D character, like spends remaining years saving children from other monsters, lost their child to a monster.
You put D&D D&D players in a room, and ask them to think of a background. It will take you like less than a second before someone says parents are dead.
Parents are dead, yeah.
Or in this case, owners are dead.
My regular D&D character is a tiefling cleric who is a beekeeper, and his backstory is his parents are alive and they run a beekeeping farm, and he visits them every now and again, and everything's lovely, and there is no tragedy. He's just adventuring because he enjoys it.
There's so I used to go to LARP a little while ago, and there were these two guys who were playing these characters that were just like incredibly nice and polite people. And you know, everyone's got like their tragic backstory, and like nobody really wants to hear it. Whereas these two, whenever they would talk to you in person, they'd be like, no, we'd love, yeah, tell us about yourself, tell us about all your background. And everyone had this sort of like, what's going on? Why are you being like this? And they're like, we're just really interested.
I'm just going to drop some rivets into here. And that gives us
a sad boy face with a monocle, which is interesting.
And monocle's an interesting idea.
He's kind of got a monocle pose right now.
It rather does. And then what I want to do is from here, I'm just going to grab this. We're going to put some strapping onto here.
Yeah. Here we go.
And here's what we made earlier.
Yeah, I was about to say, we joked that, you know, there's no here's what we made earlier, but actually it's kind of handy, I guess.
Yeah, somewhat necessary, yeah.
And again, you know, what we often do when we're doing sort of live design like this, or Tom and I are working, or any of the sculpt team are working on a model concept, is we'll put these elements that we've got, that we've made previously in, and then they serve as a really good sort of concepting placeholder that we can revisit and modify. So I might come in and, for example, we might decide that if this character's backstory is he's a vampire hunter, say, and that's why he's on a gravestone, then I can replace all of these with like you know, it could be like a stake or a clasp that's shaped like a bulb of garlic.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I kind of like the idea of vampire hunting bloodhound.
Yeah.
Then you got the blood.
Exactly. Element. I was gonna say, I'm getting so excited.
All comes back. It's all full circle now.
Yeah.
That's making me think. I can imagine some pouches and maybe a strap coming around with a bunch of stakes. Maybe.
Yeah. We had someone suggest that it'd be good to have sort of like tinctures and potions and stuff. Sort of like so I think
let's do a quick save.
Artificer.
Let's jump to here and grab our cylinder.
Can he have a bunch of steaks, but then like one of them's just like a meat steak, just like his lunch for later?
Yeah,
I love that idea. So
why not?
Yeah.
So let's quickly make ourselves a steak.
Comedy, rather.
You know it.
So let's do this.
So we're making
so what I'm going to do
here.
So yeah.
That works too.
Gonna kill vampires with sausages.
Their only weakness that we never knew about.
Garlic sausages. There you go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Delicious.
It's the pinched ends that makes it look very meaty.
It is, yeah. They're about to disappear.
Okay.
Let's do it this way.
Oh, Soberflub says we could use like a Van Helsing hat, but that would, to be honest, if it did have that kind of like floppy brimmed hat, that would really match his sort of floppy ears and stuff like that.
That could be kind of fun. And then we'd have oh my god.
Oh, brainwave.
Bloodborne hound.
Oh,
we got the Bloodborne thing going on then.
A little flintlock pistol. Yeah.
A fold out weapon. Why does it keep doing that? I'm trying to.
Other way. Down to
yeah.
I was just about to ask.
These things
matter. Russ and Tom, how long have you been studying or practicing to like be this good at
too long?
Because I'm like here, like I wonder if I could get into it because it just seems so cool. But
so yeah, it's I've been working professionally for about seven years. Something like that.
Been about 10 years myself, so got some years on us, but like to be honest, like there's a lot of amazing resources I wish we had. Like when we first got into it, like there are so many amazing like YouTube tutorials out there. You got programs like Blender, you can do the whole thing in one go, and it's all in one program. Like it's just completely free. It's insane.
Blender is a free program. It has a sculpting mode. I mean, I personally, because I started with ZBrush, I've not used Blender sculpt mode, but I know plenty of people that do, and the results are fantastic.
And the principles are the same. Like, for example, when you're sculpting a mini, like is making everything nice and chunky. You're thinking about the end customer as well. Like, how are people going to paint that? You know, for example, the steak that Russ is doing right now, see how thick the strap is on it.
Yeah.
Well, people got to be able to make sure they get that. You know, they can dry brush the edges off like the bolt on it and all sorts. Like, it's really, really important. But that stuff you kind of pick up along the way. Once you know that, it doesn't really matter what program you use.
No, it's never about the tools. It's all about the process.
Yeah.
So I was
Amazing.
kind of interested because so my friend who does it for video games. Like, is there apart from the sort of like the physical things that you need to consider, like the painting and stuff like that, are there any other sort of like nuances that are kind of different from the like digital model production rather than physical model production?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I've done both. I do both.
Yeah.
And differences are vast. For example, in video games, you're not going to be posing your character this early in any sense of it. With figures, you can handle millions and millions of polygons, pose the model, and that's it. That's your final model. With character work for, say, games and stuff, you've got to make sure, right, well, this is your high poly. Yeah. Then you've got to make a very low res so the engines can actually handle the topology. Then that goes to they'll go to someone to texture it, or you texture it yourself. Then a rigger. Then implementing the engine is a very long process. With this, you can kind of focus more on like the pose and the story and the figure element of it. There's a lot more freedom in some respects, and then restrictions for production.
Yeah, all of our restrictions are to do with so in as Tom says, in a video game, they're thinking, you're always thinking about what's coming downstream, what's the end use. And there they've got to think about real-time rendering and reflections and lighting and animation. Whereas we're thinking about mold traps and ease of assembly and the strength of plastic and tolerances of material and that kind of thing. So you're starting from the same place, but because your end destination is so different, it can really impact what you decide to do creatively as you go. But I'm a firm believer that just turn this curve mode on. There we go. That's a bit big. I'm a firm believer in the idea that the restrictions are part of the creative process. Like, having boundaries is good for creativity. I always say, look at Lord of the Rings, which was fairly constrained in budget and time and editorial control, and then look at The Hobbit. Having no creative boundaries isn't necessarily a brilliant thing. I think that it's in the limitations of what you're doing that you start to get really creative and interesting things begin to happen. I'm going to plot this. Trying to get this curve to go under his tail. I'm going to cheat. Because the tail's in the way, I'm going to slice it off.
Slice the tail off.
Thing is, though, like that strap is now going to be going directly over his bum hole, which
I did think that.
We have had this discussion. Only like 2 days ago, I was like, Ross, that strap's over that dog's bum.
you can't put that there.
Like, look, maybe he's shy and he's like, oh, I get nervous, if anyone's behind me, and I like to have it there. So
it's like those things you hang from cats' tails.
Oh, I've seen that, yeah.
Strap, please behave yourself.
Come on, Strap.
Do you know what?
Cylinder?
Yeah, I'll get it. This is the one. There's
it's
an awful
looking
lot.
Real good.
There's an awful lot of Tom will vouch for this. Do you know what? The easiest thing to do is to just draw it to there and then start another one where you can't see.
It'd be quite cool, to be honest, if it was like if it was almost sort of attached to the hip part of his leg. If you had like a sort of loop that went around the leg.
Yeah, that could be very cool. That could be very cool. Let's go with this just for now. But yeah, you're right. You know what? I agree. Let's move these.
Wheels? You're almost like a proper designer. This is wild. Right? Yeah.
I'm also thinking it'd probably be easy to do that as well.
Yeah.
That's manager wheels coming out.
The seagulls are very
Yeah.
thematic for an island and ocean based campaign setting. I have to
Yeah,
say.
well, we are streaming this from Brighton, of course, in England, so it's all seagulls all the time. Actually, I'm in Hove now. I need to get used to that. Literally just moved.
Oh yeah.
But I think we got yeah, if we've got like a sort of strap that goes around the leg, like you say, it could be like a sort of harness that goes across his back, sort of thing, which would be quite cool.
Yeah, maybe that leads down into the leg that's been amputated. Maybe I don't know.
Well, that could be interesting. The that could be really interesting. Actually,
Yeah.
The tools are not wanting to play this evening because, as Tom will tell you, that in theory this thing has the ability to recognize that you're drawing on a cylindrical surface, and I should be able to just hold down the shift key and have it wrap around the leg. Is it because Lazy Mouse is turned on that it won't do it? Yes, it is.
Ah.
Right. That's what
yes.
we wanted to do.
There we go.
There we go. So I just got to get it. Yeah, I need to persuade it to track.
Cool.
Oh, actually, it
There we
looping
go.
like that was. Oh wow, no, that is that. No, ignore
That's
me, that was
dope.
way
That's
cooler.
dope.
That was way
Yeah.
cooler.
Then we just.
It's worth it when it works.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting to see all of the frustrations on what should be a relatively easily
behind the
thing.
scenes, you know. This is the nitty gritty.
Oh yeah.
It is. This is
Sharing
what
our
we.
frustration.
Somebody asked where Hove is, by the way. Like Hove and Brighton have just kind of grown into each other over time, so they're basically the same place. So to the point where people will call it Brighton and Hove, like they are.
I was going to say, like that's how I often hear it referred to, is Brighton and Hove.
Wow. Yeah, Hove's lovely.
Yeah, it's the football team is even called Brighton and Hove Albion. Like,
there we are.
I love the fact that teams get called Albion, which being an ancient name for Britain. I'd love to think that other.
Oh.
It's you just think sort of FC is like the standard thing, but there's like athletic and all that kind of stuff. You can see like the history of the club in the name almost.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if other places did that, and you get like football teams named after like Babylon and Mesopotamia and stuff.
Oh, whilst we're doing harness stuff, so these animals can have like owners and stuff, right? Like this isn't a world with solely animals in it. Like there can be humans.
No, not at all. I mean, generally speaking, the assumption is that because they are awakened, they might not have owners insofar as they'll have friends and companions.
Yeah, party members and stuff.
But so, yes, we can. 100% it is reasonable that this guy or gal has a bunch of companions. What are you thinking?
Well, I was thinking it might be quite cool because we've got this little harness, if it went across his back, sort of like looped over to the other side. You could
it sort of came over.
You can have those handles on a dog harness for like sniffer dogs, so that you can.
Yes.
Yeah, they can sort of like lead you in the right direction. That might be quite cool.
Yeah. So then it becomes figuring out what our kind of in-world solve for that might be, so that it feels like something that would be aiding the adventuring group that the character travels with.
My initial thought was that, like, say if you're in a scenario where you have to stealth and maybe you're in like a really dark area and you have to hold on to our buddy here so that he can lead you in the right direction, but it's a bit dark and hard to see. I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, like
Let's
if there was another dog, for example, they could grab it with their teeth to be led along. Maybe the bloodhound has night vision sort of thing.
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, maybe he has like an ability. I keep saying he because I'm like, this is a good boy, but ignore me. Can be anything.
Because we're all inventing our own headcanons already. That's fine.
Yeah,
it is.
We're so invested.
I do want to flag that we're not supporters of default male around here. It just fits this particular character.
Absolutely. But yeah, like if your bloodhound has an ability where, because their nose is so strong, that kind of gives them an element of dark vision because they can kind of map it out in front of them.
Yeah, it's like follow me because I can
smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, yeah.
Got a super chat here from
Ooh.
Sorry, this is a different one to say. Scala FNDR TTV. who says, honestly, love seeing all this come to life in the current campaign I'm running. When the party asked how the rogue can carry his weapons, I made the paw bracelets magnetized to just stay in place. So,
that's
wow.
very cool.
yeah,
That.
That's very cool. We
it's like
do
you
get
said,
asked.
limitations breed creativity.
Exactly.
Absolutely, they do. And also, though, I think it's also reasonable to say that if you're playing in a game where a koala druid and a poodle barbarian are going to take on a clockwork albatross, then verisimilitude may not be at the top of the agenda.
Yeah.
There's
There's
that
a
sort of thing.
certain level of suspension of disbelief that you need to have.
There absolutely is.
Oh my god, the door slamming. I like the big collar, by the way. It's like a nice it's fitting the Vampire Hunter vibes, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, that kind of that slightly Van Helsing kind of quality. I'm going to put a little clasp at the front here.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
Mhm.
To bring it together.
A lot of people very much enjoyed the idea of the floppy hat, by the way, because
I'm really digging the idea of the floppy hat.
Yeah.
I think for the purposes of the stream and speed, what I might do is pull in a hat that we've made for a previous character as a stand-in that we can just sort of flop it up and get the sense of it. Who's got a good hat that we could use for that, Tom?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just thinking. What about
what style hat are we thinking?
It's the most fashion forward.
Almost
the models.
I think they're almost pilgrimy, aren't they? The vampire.
Yeah, it's a
hats.
combination of
Big
pilgrim
white
hat and like almost like a
Stetson.
combination of that and a musketeer's hat. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Tell you what, how about I model it and I'll send you the file. And
Okay. And do you happen to have one of those amazing, the shoulder pads, Tom, that you made for Gallet? I don't suppose you've got those to hand, because I can see like that chainmail kind of squarish pad would look really nice on here.
As we've been talking, I've sculpted some mud and some grass that you can put on your base as well.
What a superstar.
Fantastic.
Love this team.
Yeah. There's a really good question in the chat from CBS Inc. Hey, any quick tips for someone just starting to learn brush? Rather.
Learning ZBrush for the first time. Press 9 a lot. It's really tricky to know what sort of advice to give people. I mean, I always say, decide early on what you want to focus your sculpting on. I think because there's techniques and tricks that you will learn for doing sort of video game and VFX style animation based art that is very different to the tricks you're going to learn here. But equally, there will also be things that are crossover, of course. And I think that focusing on anatomy and my personal way of learning, I can't learn in abstract. I have to have a project. I have to be making a thing. So I would always be looking, that's way too thick, always looking to make some sort of final product. And don't be hard on yourself. This, the learning stage is the best stage, because everything you do is valid. Even if it goes horrifically wrong, there's still things you're learning from that. And
make what you want.
Yeah, give yourself permission to get to mess up and experiment and be fearless with the process and just enjoy the journey.
Not only is that good advice for this, that's good overall advice for starting anything. Love that.
Russ also doubles up as an agony aunt. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah.
My motivational speaking career is due to take off any day. Oh, crikey.
Have we got like a sort of bandage style little attachment to the leg that we've got going on here, or?
That's the intention. It's behaving a bit weirdly, so I'm gonna do what I wanted to do in a slightly different way, which is I'm gonna delete hidden. So whilst I've got this piece just separated like this, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna trim the edges nice and straight, because you can see at the moment there's a slight fray to the edge. That's just due to the way the selection mask has been generated. What this tool does is you can see these two are now two different colors. If I click and delete them, they disappear. And then I can make a nice clean selection here. Actually, I'm going to divide this into some slightly smaller. You can see almost like pixelation when I'm doing this, and it's not subdivided enough. So by subdividing it a bit more, In a minute, I'll press the right combination of keys to make what I want to happen. I'm just going to edge this off. So by selecting these masks like this, if I do the extract on this with a nice sharp mask, what it will do, that's way too thick, 0.01 maybe? We'll make a little cuff, yeah.
Right.
So we're going to make it, we're going to divide, we're going to delete the hidden parts, we're going to divide it twice, we're going to make the cuff a reasonable thickness, top to bottom thickness that is. Going to set this to about 0.005. One of the joys of ZBrush is none of these numbers mean anything in the real world. You just kind of do a thing and see what happens.
It's like when you go to a supermarket and pick a cheese and you have to pick from the arbitrary cheese scale, you know?
Yeah. It very feels like that, yeah. Yes, when it says this cheese is a number 4 cheese.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Tesco's.
This one goes great with red wine.
I don't eat dairy, so I just buy vegan cheeses and go, this cheese looks like cheese.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best I can hope with
as well, I reckon. So
yeah,
yes,
looks like cheese, tastes like cheese. Fine by me.
I mean, the UK is brilliant for it though, but I've visited a few places where it's like, vegan options are beggars can't be choosers.
Mm.
There we go.
It's very good here in Brighton as well. Brighton's like fantastic for vegan stuff.
So we've got a little armor piece on there. So I'm gonna we're gonna put a little strapping element on it, and then we're gonna duplicate it, flip it, and put it on the other arm as well. So we're gonna go last.
Asymmetry of it though, because I feel like he's a bit. Again, I'm saying he, but this might be whatever you like. But yeah, he's got like a sort of he's gotten pieces over time and built up like ragtag bits of armor and stuff.
With a mishmash.
I'm wondering about the possibility, of course, of
more stakes.
He has a strapping system, so we can have a belt, and he keeps a stake strapped there, ready for action.
Thing is, you could stab someone with that as well. It's almost like the Ezio.
You can have someone's eye out. Not careful.
How possible is it that he can fire the stakes out of this little thing he has on his arm, his leg?
Little hand crossbow.
Yeah.
Someone did suggest. Yeah, someone's actually suggested a little stake crossbow.
Had a crossbow in the chat.
And Richard, our chief designer, is quietly weeping somewhere as we mission creep his character rules.
We're all for thinking outside the box. By the way, somebody in chat says, Shay Razor says, do you prefer sculpting animals or humanoids? Is that like too big of a question? Is that like, can you choose?
Can you choose? I mean,
can you?
I don't know if I can.
I can't.
The thing is, everything offers everything we do. We're very fortunate because we're working on projects like this. We're working on things like the Epic Encounters D&D range that we do. Where the sculpting team has an enormous amount of input into the design of the models. And then we get to do things like the board game licenses. So, things like Horizon Zero Dawn or Monster Hunter World, where we're getting to take some really iconic designs and just interpret them in ways that will work in that board game plastic environment. That's a really good example of what we were saying, where things that are designed for different purposes have different particular needs. There's a lot of work that has to go into interpreting a video game character to work in a board game environment. So each of those things brings a completely different set of challenges, and each of them is therefore really interesting to work on. So I don't think that we can. I don't think I could. It's a very long way of me saying I don't think I could pick, because
absolutely valid though. Valid.
Such a different set of challenges on a daily basis. We're very lucky.
I'm regret to inform you that you have sparked the imaginations in the chat too much with that stake, and it is looking like it will be becoming a crossbow that is attached to the wrist.
I am down for a wrist crossbow stake launcher, because
any day.
Once it's go big or go home, isn't it? Really.
Good job, chat.
We've had a few people suggest like if there's a sword, that the hilt should be bone shaped as well. By the way.
Sold, 100%. That's happening. Just so little details now that are going to matter. This is the sort of thing that you learn by doing, which is when you add one of these sorts of elements, this cross stitch element, it'll work really well. But if we just punch around where it meets the thing, this hole, it's hardly anything, or it doesn't look like much. But on when the miniature's cast, this is going to take an ink wash and shading that much better. In a similar way, this edge that I've created that is the seam, if we just come in now and just lift these edges that little bit, again, it's super subtle, but this will come through in the molding, and it just helps express these shapes better on the final product.
Super important for stuff like dry brushing as well. Loads of hard edges.
Yeah.
To hit.
Absolutely. And Tom and I have done a lot of work where we've worked with external teams that are really used to working with that's really nice. Teams that are really used to working with the sort of video game environment stuff, and it's these little subtle tricks that is often new to them. And it's really good to be able to sort of, share that knowledge and help people up level what they're doing.
Nicholas Siricum said it'd probably be good to get the sigil of the Order of the Golden Collar somewhere on the clothing.
Yeah, that'd be good. Which is, if anyone wants to know, it's like an oval halo with a set of wreaths around it. So the halo is like the golden collar, effectively.
Yeah, you can maybe have it like stamped on the leather, or sort of like like carved.
Yeah.
Do you want me to acquire that logo for you, Russ?
Yeah, you certainly can do. Right.
Yeah.
We've got some bare legs right now, so
like a cutie mark from
like a cutie mark. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right on the haunch.
Right. Is my when I click open on this Explorer window, is it visible on the screen?
No, we just see the window of ZBrush itself.
That's okay. I just didn't want to accidentally browse to a folder that I shouldn't have public.
That's why capturing the application is so much better than just like this whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you said desktop, I was like, no, do the program. You never know what.
I'm just going to have a quick deep dive into my library and see if I can locate a dog that's wearing a floppy hat that we can put in as a stand-in until we've got the final version.
Oh, my hat is pretty much ready. I'll get you.
Oh wow, yes. You've been
amazing.
Sculpt like the wind, Tom. Sculpt like the wind.
Going as fast as I can.
I'm just going to grab Mutt and Bailey.
Yes, Mutt and Bailey.
Mutt and Bailey are a set of characters that we designed for one of the Cats and Catacombs Kickstarter. And it is a cat riding a dog.
Oh my god.
Oh my
god. So Mutt is the paladin. He carries Bailey around. She is an arcane trickster. And what I want to do is steal her hat.
Oh my god. I'm in love.
Because again, even though it's a stand-in element, adding something like this to the character is going to make a huge difference to the feel of the model.
Wheels.
Yes.
I have a suggestion. So we have said that we're going to be doing a D&D show for Dicebreaker. That's a thing.
Right.
What if there's like some kind of episode where they like body swap into animals? And we get to make animal characters.
We'll do that in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of thing you want to do when you're introducing new characters.
Exactly. Establishing.
Freaky Friday them.
Look, maybe for Halloween.
Are you going to let all your characters turn into animals in the first 2 episodes, or are you a coward? I think that is the question that needs answering.
Exactly.
Oh, don't worry, they'll have worse things than that happen to them.
Okay.
Not to burst your bubble, Russ.
Yes.
But that file is ready for you in our sculpting resource folder. It's called Stream.
Okay, so it's a tool, right? So I'm going to do a load tool, and we're going to go to sculpting resource.
Yeah, so this is the thing. That hat, it's a lovely hat, but it's not the right vibe. But we're about to hopefully see the exact vibe that we were after.
Yeah.
You need to have that wide brim really flopping around.
Yeah.
There we
yeah.
go.
I got all sorts of things going on in here.
It's a party.
Grass as well.
It is a party, and everyone's
puddle, which took me 2 seconds.
So we'll delete this hat. Go away, hat.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for the minute you wasted on that, Russ.
That's quite all right. It's always amused me that we got away with Mutt and Bailey of having a literal cat in the hat and no one ever commented on it.
Yeah.
Tom and I are known for wanting to put silly jokes into our sculpts. So anyone who owns the Rataclysm, which is in the Villains of Gullet Cove set, he has a piece of cheese tucked away in one of his like horrible flesh folds.
I'm so proud of that.
And the giant snake set from Epic Encounters has a fedora and a whip hidden somewhere on its base.
Fantastic.
And we put these things in, and it's like nobody but us is amused by it, but that's fine because it makes us happy.
Oh, I
It
disagree.
made me so happy.
I'm immediately amused.
Yeah, see, look, the eyes being covered by the brim of that is classic sort of vampire.
That is
what it
extreme
kind of
cool.
makes me want to do now is bring the collar up.
Yeah,
just...
almost like, you know, like in the middle of a storm. Winds howl.
I'm just thinking that kind of higher neck kind of quality to it. So I'm just going to lift it again. These are all things that will sort of come in and fix. Yeah. But I think bringing it up is going to be the answer. Obviously, at the moment, it's going through a lot of his elements. A surprising amount of the time that we spend sculpting is spent sort of pushing bits through other bits and fixing strange elements. But
I'd love to see like a bit of a sharper brim on that hat, to be honest.
Can I get
like more
brim?
of
a pointier?
No, as in like the edge being a bit thinner as it sort of comes to the edge of the hat. Obviously, I'm not sure how thin it can get, but
so that's a really good point. So there's something we do with the edges of items that can make it production friendly and still thin out. And what you do is you just make the edge of it thin, and then it thickens out like a huge wedge.
Yeah.
So it's actually only the edge is actually the thin bit because it wedges out. For example, if I made that hat all that same like thickness, it would snap off, it would bend. But yeah.
We have a suggestion in the chat from Witchwater. Send some love to our players with disabilities. How about future animal adventure with some walking wheels stuff to think about, which is something that we have been discussing in this very stream. Witchwater
absolutely is. And without giving too many spoilers away, it is looking like that there's going to be at least one more opportunity for us to do some live streaming. So any ideas that we really like that are sort of sculpt agnostic, if we don't use them on this character, there should be more opportunities to do so. Awesome. So I'm really I don't know if anyone's aware, but Tom and I worked on the Dungeons and Disability miniatures that were produced for the raising charity money for the D&D wheelchair models. So we're big proponents of that sort of thing. I was a childhood wheelchair user, so I am very pro getting more of that stuff into the
one of
into
the
the
first
character
things
design.
we spoke about when we started the stream because I think Witchwater's just come in. One of the first things we spoke about was having some kind of prosthesis, I think, which would be I think would really suit the character as well.
I mean, I do find myself slightly wondering about because we've got this stake here. I'm wondering if you could you have a prosthetic leg that was a stake launcher?
I am thinking of what's the film with the. I mean, this is obviously a much tackier version, but what's the film with the lady who has like an assault rifle leg?
That would be Planet Death from the.
Death.
Yes, Planet Death.
It's not exactly the a very highbrow example, but
Robert Rodriguez, like deliberately schlocky B movie kind of thing.
I'm thinking maybe that chainmail should be on the other side if you want to.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. So what we're going to do to make it easy is I'm just going to. One of the great things about ZBrush is each of these layers. So we've got these subtools, and they're basically like Photoshop layers, which is why I keep making stuff disappear. They each have their own separate undo history.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay.
So you can work in a specific layer, and if you decide you don't like something, you can Control Z back out, go back in again, and it doesn't affect anything else.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it tracks by subtool. A feature that if Photoshop introduced, I think would be the greatest addition ever to the program.
I was going to suggest that, and then I was like, am I just bad at Photoshop and that exists and I don't know it exists?
No, it doesn't. But layer-based undo states in Photoshop. You know, Adobe, obviously, they're watching.
Yes,
get on that.
Hi, Adobe.
Thank you,
Good
John,
to see you again.
John Adobe.
Yes.
John Adobe. And his good friend, Barry Illustrator.
It's pronounced illustratoire.
Illustratoire. like laboratoire.
Yeah. Garni ain't no trace range.
Just gonna move this ear out.
Oh, such a good boy.
For anyone that doesn't know those adverts, that's going to be a very confusing reference.
To be honest, I was referencing the Mitchell and Webb sketch that was.
Yes. Yeah. We've discovered a cure for all diseases. That's not the work we do in this laboratoire.
What are you working on there, Johnson? Better hope it's something for the Garnier Nutrice range, for your sakes. This is my laboratoire. Incredible stuff.
Russ, I don't ask you this often, but do you fancy a piece of garlic?
I always fancy a piece of garlic.
We did have a suggestion for a garlic necklace.
Okay.
I like the idea of, so you know, somebody said monster teeth.
Yes.
So I'm thinking vampire teeth and garlic.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a necklace item could be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Combo job.
If you're killed by a necklace, if you're a vampire and you're killed by a necklace made of vampire teeth, then basically you've died of irony. So that's kind of cool.
The deadliest weapon of all.
This puddle's almost gone for like a sort of upturned earth kind of vibe now with the
like a grave earth kind of deal.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll smooth it out a touch, and we'll just have it frame the base a little better, and then we'll use a function to add some texture to it. So
I've just realised my partner is attached like the tie from a dressing gown. She's attached it to the door handle of the door that keeps slamming, and like the banister. So it's got a real like Rude Goldberg vibe, but it is working.
Hey, that's a great fit.
That's so clever.
Amazing.
Yeah. Nicely done.
That beats me stuffing a sock under the door.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's an elegant solution though. That's the thing.
But then you down one sock, and that's the worst thing.
That's true.
All right, Russ. Ooh. That garlic is in the same folder as a brush.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm just going to do this.
Wow, yeah, the texture there.
Yeah, that's bumpy.
Then we'll just gently smooth it a little bit, and that gives us a nice foundation. How are we doing for time, by the way? Just out of interest.
We've got 40 minutes left.
Wow.
Okay.
This is whizzed by, I'll be honest. Like,
where am I looking, Tom? Where am I looking?
Same folder. It's called garlic.
Is it?
You really buried the lead there, didn't you?
Brush.
It's a brush.
It's a brush.
Ooh.
Before we start adding the garlic in, Stasha Pease made a very good point. Wouldn't the garlic on the necklace affect the smell? Wouldn't it be better at the other end?
Oh,
garlic would affect the sense of smell.
Oh, does not work.
No, it's all right. I hadn't polymeshed it. Oh, look at that. That's a lovely bit of garlic.
That's a great
garlic. Very nice. This is the kind of important thinking that matters. So in a similar way, we've got the stakes around here. I'm imagining that something's tied here and it kind of swings around.
Like a bandolier of garlic.
Like a bandolier of garlic. So let's get our...
These pouches, could one be like sort of bursting open with like a garlic bowl sort of popping out, like he's he's got it filled with stuff.
Yeah, I think we can make that work. I'm gonna use this rope brush to create a bandolier kind of feel. We're just gonna loop it round like that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And that's okay. Just gotta
find the right curve.
Sometimes, yeah, because it bases what you're doing on your camera angle. It can get a little bit confused if there's an odd shape.
Julie VN says, "But garlic."
I was just about to say garlic. But garlic.
But garlic.
It's superior in every respect.
Of course.
Old school
You need to
deodorant.
get some little potion vials and stuff going, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. We can probably. I mean, as time goes on, we build up more and more of these sorts of things on other characters. So I like that big pouch. We'll use that in a minute. So over time, you end up with quite a big library to the point where in a pinch, you can sort of go to an existing dog that you've already sculpted and be like, right, I'll take a pouch from this dog and I'll take a potion from that. And I've produced more than one character for my own sessions for 3D printing that way.
There is quite a sort of like I remember on sort of like old Warhammer models, it was very egregious sometimes because you'd see like, oh, that's the exact same body but with a different head, like
yeah. Yeah, of course they had to do it back in the day. It was old school. You'd sculpt a piece and you'd cast that one piece in resin, and then just repeat that. I remember the Perry twins, who used to be legendary sculptors of Games Workshop, going and seeing them doing the original Chaos Dwarves, the ones with the big hats that look like salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah.
And they had all of the hats were just a big pile of resin, so they were just sculpting, sticking, and they had like gears out of the insides of watches, and it was amazing watching them bringing all this stuff together, all of these random elements to create these models.
Julie Bean says,
of course,
this dog works as a vampire hunter and a pizza ingredient delivery dog.
Well, it's the gig economy,
Yeah.
Adventuring is not a stable career path.
It's all about that hustle.
Yeah. I wonder where we're going to pop the mobile phone that he has the app on, where he getting his gigs.
GPS tracker. He's not a
It'd be called Slayer, but there'd be no E. It'd be SLYR.
Exactly. That sounds like you're dating other vampire hunters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for them to find each other. There are so many single vampire hunter dogs in your area.
Van Helsing wants to speak to you.
We've got some more strapping going on.
Yeah, I'm going to put a cross strap through here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, impressive.
Go big or go home.
Absolutely. That's going to give us a good basis for adding a load of additional equipment. Because a lot of this, as you can see, I mean, we're kind of playing, which is really, really nice to be able to do. But a lot of these characters, it's to do with like creating the story for them as you go. So, the idea that this is a specialist that hunts undead is a really, really nifty idea. So if we want to take that idea further, we start to think in terms of, well, what other sorry, I'm having a slight issue.
No worries. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
What other types of undead might we be a hunter of? So then what other elements could we introduce to the design that would sort of evoke those elements, those creatures? So are we hunting ghosts? Are we hunting I don't know, werewolves? Are we hunting zombies?
If they're just kind of like a supernatural hunter, is that the kind of thing we're thinking?
Yeah. I mean, I like the undead specialism idea a lot. I wonder if we should have this hat as
yes, tilt it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was almost going to say, put like a little candle on it as well.
Oh, candle would look
amazing. I'm kind of living for that idea. Just a candle on the side here.
Yeah.
Right, let's put a little candle together quickly.
A lot of
Have
silver
we got any?
suggestions. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say any more good things coming from chat.
Yeah,
Session
we've
piece
got-
is holy water.
Oh
good.
yeah, bottles of holy water.
Yeah, absolutely. That sort
I
of
like
solves our
that.
little potion idea.
Mhm.
Here's
It
one, Russ.
really
Is there anything
does.
specific to the Watcher class we can put on there?
I'm not sure, because one of the things about the way Richard's designing the Watcher class is he wanted to make sure that although we can have these obviously iconic miniatures, he wanted to, have it so that any of the character models could potentially be used. Because again, for anyone in the chat who finds themselves unfamiliar with the brand, we have currently got about, I don't know, 30 odd character models already available from our previous iterations of the game. So it's making sure that we've got something where all of those could potentially be used by this class.
We have a message from Steamforge Games saying, Russ, silver dagger.
Silver
I
dagger.
do need a silver weapon, maybe. I mean, as well as the Watcher as well. A silver weapon is pretty iconic.
I got Geralt's knife if you want it.
I'll take it.
I do think maybe a sword strewn across the back would be quite cool as well, to be honest, because we've not got much in the way of melee right now.
That is very true. That is very true. So what we're going to do here is we're going to.
I guess technically a stake is melee, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. Also, Julie. Yeah, I was just going to say, Julie Viennes says Ouija board planchette, which I don't know how it would be included, but it's just a cool design idea. It's very good.
That could be what's hanging around the neck. We could have the planchette hanging as a talisman on a piece of leather.
That's cool.
Hey, this is a cool idea. Silver capped claws.
Ooh, interesting.
See, this is where whoever picks up the mini on their end, they can paint those claws like silver on their end. And be like, and you can homebrew the rules a bit and say, it's got like a silver swipe which adds like +1 damage to your melee, your basic melee or something. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Very nice.
Okay, so we're going to add a candle. I mean, the obvious, we can put it on top, or it could be strapped kind of rakishly to one side. Let's add it in and get it to scale. It's a pretty good size. So do we want it on the side?
I like it strapped to the side, yeah.
Okay, I was thinking right on the top. I was like, yeah, go for it.
Right on the top is funny.
Whack it on.
It depends if we want funny or cool, because I think strapped to the side looks cooler, but right on top is funnier.
Side, definitely side, but the flame, make sure our flame is pointing vertical.
Yeah, so the reason I am bringing it in and deciding where it goes is because what I want to be able to do, is not delete the entire hat. I want to put some melty runs.
Oh, cool.
That's
dripping down the edge of the hat.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
I love that.
So we'll just do a Dynamesh. So the advantage of the Dynamesh is going to become really apparent as we do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to create these runs, and eventually we're going to run out of mesh resolution, and then Dynameshing it. You can see it sort of getting this patterning as it runs out of mesh resolution. By swiping and re-Dynameshing that is now remeshed, and I can continue to work with it, and it's got all of its it gets all of its resolution back. So it's just a nice way of effectively having an infinite resolution.
I'm gonna pretend I understood that.
Yeah, it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
It makes
sense in my head.
Yeah.
It makes more polygons just when we run out.
It reminds me of that meme where it's like, I ain't reading all that. I'm sorry that happened, or I'm happy for you.
That is fair. I forget. I spend all day talking to Tom and the other sculpting team, and we're all complete nerds about this stuff. So we're a bit more obsessed by it.
Oh, here's the point. Yeah, Cakeley said it doesn't just have to be a candle for light; it could be for warding off spirits and stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, imagine it painted like a blue flame illuminating the top of the hat.
Yeah.
Or for like burning sage.
Let's get a flame in here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you sculpt the flame. Actually,
So am I.
Oh my
Ooh.
goodness.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So this is where we get sad that we can't actually like manufacture stuff that thin, because that would
Yeah.
be really cool.
Yeah.
Because this is another situation where we're going to be dynameshing, and then going in and having to thicken and inflate. So this has given us our basic shape, but now we are going to have to work with it to get what we know is going to work.
I like that it feels
So it's
like
little,
the wind's picking it as well.
yeah. It's little things for us that are going to help, like making sure it contacts the side of the candle here. Means that this is all a solid piece, so that will now cast. And also having it sweeping exactly sideways, it's going to help with molding because it will sit in line with the likely angle of the molding process. Whereas if we put it at like a 30-degree angle or something like that, we would be creating something that just can't sit happily in a mold no matter what we do. Right, now let's put some dynamics into it.
Everyone loves the blue flame, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this painted. It's going to look so cool.
I mean, this is a great thing for like if someone wants to do like object source lighting, for example. That's also going to look really good.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that Tom, well, everyone on the team, but particularly Tom and myself, we're very sort of, we enjoy the process of modeling and painting as hobbyists as well as, and I think it really helps because you need to have an understanding of what the final purpose of the model is. And if you've done dry brushing, you've done ink washing, you know things like OSL, you can think in terms of what's going to give people cool opportunities on the model, and that's a key part of the process. Yeah, right, that's a nice looking little flame. That'll do us for now. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Check the motion that adds to it as well.
I know. I was just thinking, like, maybe he's out in like a storm. It's just about picking up, and he's out in the wind.
That's cool. You're always thinking in terms of trying to find things that will add dynamics.
Yeah.
So if it's a cloak or hair is really good for it. It's trickier with the dogs.
Cloak. He needs a butt cloak.
I don't mind the idea of one of those over the shoulder.
Yeah, like an NCO.
Yeah.
So dashing, yes.
I've just noticed, where's his... Have I inadvertently deleted his garlic, or have I just got it turned off? I've just got it turned off. That's all right.
He's saved. We're good.
There was a brief moment of panic there.
I know.
Right.
We all feel it.
Folks, we have less than half an hour remaining. I think it's time we start talking about the wrist crossbow. Surely the most exciting part.
Russ flexes up. He's limber enough. He's going to go for it.
Put me in.
I'm so pleased that what I'm going to be doing right now is trying to design a weapon entirely in ZBrush from scratch, with no prep or concept art. Let's go.
Surely you've done a crossbow before, right? That we could work with.
Yeah, we have.
Who's
lots.
Who's got a crossbow that would be suitable? We could use as a basis.
Rangosh's followers in God tier all have crossbows. I shall acquire one for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
People are thinking, well, this sculpting miniatures lark is easy. You just endlessly recycle your earlier work.
Yep.
Never make any.
I think back to the model I made when I was hired 4 years ago. It literally is like one of the first models I made. Like,
it really
crossbow.
is. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll tell you what. While you're digging that crossbow out, rather than me messing around with it, I'm just going to add a few little details to the base, and I want to put a sword in here. I think.
Something I would love. Phil Connolly just said in the chat, I don't want to sound dramatic, but I would follow this dog through the gates of hell.
It is dramatic. I love
Same.
it.
Yeah,
Same.
I think the two big ideas that we loved, which we haven't really done yet, are the wrist crossbow, and we need to sort the prosthetic, right? So
yes.
We've got limited time. I reckon we focus on those. I think it'll be quite good.
So I need to,
because this is quite a sort of agile dog. I think like runners in the Paralympics will use those sort of curved stilt.
Oh yeah, the sort of blade thing. I'm just looking, and those do exist for dogs, mainly for their hind legs. It's an element. It's an element that comes in here.
That one that's got the garlic hanging above, perhaps.
that would be my pick for sure. So I'm just looking at how they're designed to see how we would do this. So let's go to our leg, and we'll just mask it. And
Now I'm thinking of, have you seen Kingsman?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You know the lady who's got like her legs are prosthesis, but they have swords. They're basically swords. Like
sword legs.
that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
Love those
Love
sword
it.
legs. Mm-hmm.
Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick save because this is always a bit dodgy. I've duplicated this and taken it into a separate project window so that we can work on it without the rest of the model. And I'm going to isolate just this leg.
Yeah.
Or I will in a moment anyway. And then we can use this as the basis for developing the idea, right? So very sorry, rest of the model, but let's delete lower. We're going to group mask, click on that, delete hidden, and close the holes. And that gives us...
It allows you to be so intricate, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So now what we're going to do is I'm just looking at the... and generally it seems that the way they're designed is, if we imagine, not to be too brutal about it, but if I just use the trim curve, the slice curve, if we imagine we're going to be taking the leg off around there, so we get this kind of effect, we're going to need straps and so forth down to this joint.
Almost like a hook, right? You need like that sort of curved end to sort of cut.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what I want to do, I think, is we're going to mask an area that's going to become our front section. So
I'm so attached I'm so attached to this dog that I'm like, oh no, his leg. No.
Right?
Going to do this, which will give us a nice, interesting shape. And we're going to do... no, that's not what I want to do at all. I want to do...
So now the question is, how did this dog lose part of his leg? Like, was he born with a sort of leg that needed amputating, or was it in an accident or some kind of fight? You know?
Yeah. Maybe everyone assumes it was a fight, but it was a birth thing.
Maybe he gets annoyed when people are like, "Oh, what happened?" And he's just like, "What do you mean, what happened?"
I feel like this.
This is me. We need to go a little thicker than that. So again, this is a great example of story being led by design, which is exactly what we want. So we got our leg now, so we go back to our original layer, and we're going to draw in a couple of straps to be holding this into place.
And we've got those buckles from earlier as well.
We got the buckles from earlier. Yeah, we're going to be employing all of these tricks to bring this part to life.
Basic RPG character design. Everything is covered in belts.
And buckles, yeah.
Accept that. And I'm gonna do a little trick that sometimes really works specifically for belts, which is I'm gonna blur this mask and we're gonna inflate the edges, and it's gonna just pop them off the surface a little bit, which will help get a cleaner read. And then I'm just gonna modify them with a remesh. So what we're doing, the reason for taking the leg into the separate file now is we can basically work on this without having to worry about any of the other bits getting in the way, and then we'll just carry this straight back in when we're happy with the results. So as before, we're gonna actually, let's do it this way. We're going to want to do a remesh on this, so we go to our remesh tools, because I want to turn on.
So on the buckles and the belts and such, I always get annoyed at the D&D rules where it's like, you need to take 10 minutes to take your armor off and 10 minutes to put it back on. And I'm like, oh, that seems a bit excessive.
Liv, you're such a dweeb. You read those rules? Come on.
Of course I know rules. Wheels, we've established I'm the D&D correspondent.
I feel that. I feel that's the meme of, we don't do that around here.
Yeah.
Look, if you want a rules lawyer, I'll be here to help, is all I'm saying.
Cool.
Wheels, I'm here for it.
We'll
I'm ready.
See you in a couple
Let's go.
thousand years.
All right. Well, when people want to stray away from the nonsense you're providing, Wheels, come to me.
This is going to be sort of visually similar to the one he's got on his front right leg as well, which is handy.
We want to get some sense of design cohesion, so we're going to use similar elements in different ways.
Ooh.
So we're going to
like bolts almost.
These are going to basically be eyes, reinforced eyes that are holding the cording that connects to the straps.
Nice.
And again, it adds another. What you're doing is you're thinking about how we want to give a painter different material elements, so that when they come to paint this, they've got options. What I'm doing now is I'm taking Tom's lovely crossover strap, and I am deleting.
Make a single.
One part of it to make a single.
Nice.
Single.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's so economical. I love it.
Create a new insert. Create a new insert mesh. We wish to create a new one. And an insert mesh brush means that we can just draw this mesh wherever we want now.
That's amazing.
So now we can go back to our leg, and it's going to let us.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Cool, very cool. By the way, in the chat, everyone's very excited by the idea of a potential pangolin character in the future. Everyone's loving that idea.
Oh, I love that.
We dig pangolin as a concept. There was no joke. I think we knew that we were going to hit between 10 and 12 new species when we were designing the sort of when we were at the kind of concepts and production planning stage for the project. And so the sculpting team and the writing team between us came up with a list of animals that we felt were worthy of doing. And it would not be an exaggeration to say that list had like 50 animals on, and we had to get down to 10.
That's always the problem, isn't it? It's not what could you do; it's like what should you do from that list? You know, what should be on the short list?
And narrowing it down.
We've made life hard for ourselves as well, because of course, you see people designing humanoid characters. Well, that's easy. They have the full range of human miniature poses that have been developed and iterated on over the years and have become, very finely tuned, and you can do all sorts with human poses. We're insisting on keeping animal anatomy, if not absolutely accurate, it needs to be plausible. So straight away that reduces our options. And then we're trying to keep everything scale-wise as plausible as we can. Again, not real, but plausible. And that has a definite impact on what we can and can't do. So the net result is there's a lot of animals that we would love to do, but we just can't find a plausible way of doing them. Like, I know that rodents like guinea pigs, mice, and so forth would be super popular.
I want to do a mouse barbarian. So bad, but you just wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
But the scale is against us. I mean, obviously there's capybara as a possibility, but
I know a lot of people who would have their ears pricked up at that.
Yeah.
It's like we used to say that we could just make new dog breeds forever and never do them all justice. And by now opening it up to anything in the animal kingdom that is plausibly larger than a house cat and smaller than a shire horse, we've made the problem infinitely more difficult.
I will say, if you're going to do a sort of like unarmed specialist, I would vote Echidna personally, because then you can have Knuckles.
That is true. That is true, and terrifying in equal amounts.
This might be a silly question because I don't know but I don't know what all the breeds you've done for dogs. Have you done a Shih Tzu?
No,
have
it's
a
not actually
I have a
among
Shih
the dogs
Tzu.
we've done.
That's why I
They're not
ask.
making a model just because you want it.
I want. Can you make my dog, please?
I'll send you a picture.
I was about to say you'd be surprised. You would not be surprised how often we get asked that.
I'm sure.
And
I will
it's
say
sad.
I'm not serious.
It's sad that we can't do everything because there are so many deserving breeds and deserving animals, and there are people who it's really heartening and lovely to see how hugely passionate some people are about really quite quite
Niche.
unusual animals and niche animals. I mean, obviously we get asked for obvious things like badgers and ferrets, but then there'll be that one person who is just like, you have to make and it'll be something you've never heard of, and you Google it, and you're like, yep, that's super cute, and I've never heard of it.
We just had a very good joke in the chat, by the way, sorry, from Flora Lynn Verschelder, who says, I once went to a zoo. There's only one animal there, a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Well played, Paul.
I always wished that in that the concept of Sharknado being animal-based meteorological disasters had continued, because shit tsunami just feels like it should happen.
No, my boy.
Just a wave of them all. The goodest of good boys.
Oh god. So now we're going to start molding that into a sort of end piece, I guess, right? So
yeah, so this is what we've got at the moment, and then we're going to cap this here, and this is where we'll then start to develop our prosthetic elements.
Cool. That crossbow is ready for you, Russ?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just pause our prosthetic modeling.
Oh.
What am I loading it in as? It's a tool.
Same folder.
Same folder.
It's called crossbow, funnily enough.
You've got a really exciting naming convention.
Hey, look, this is really good compared to my usual, where it's just like, oh, no, final 1, 3, 4. And...
Oh, yeah.
Underscore this time, I really mean it. That's a bang-on crossbow. The only thing I think that we're going to need to do is lose the stock at the back, because it's going on the wrist, and obviously we want to replace the bolt with a
stake. Yeah, of course.
With a stake.
And it's all polygrouped up, so you can just select the bits you want and the bits you don't, and just get rid of them.
Marvelous. So I'm going to turn it into an insert mesh again, and we'll go back to our original dog.
There he is.
And
we'll have to lose the old stake now.
What we'll do is
it's a small sacrifice, right? You lose a stake and you gain a stake crossbow.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. Do you want me to sculpt that piece of steak, like the meat piece of steak?
Oh yeah, we definitely have a steak,
sure.
Don't we?
Yes, that was a potential idea.
Do that.
Somebody mentioned in the chat a druid, and then it got me thinking: would a druid that is an animal, would they turn into humans as this human form, like instead of beast form?
Believe it or not, was one of the FAQs for one of the
no way.
Starters.
Amazing.
I think the conclusion we reached was, if that's what you want to do, you want to wild shape into, Hans the shopkeeper is your wild shape form. Who are we to stop you? I'm just thinking about, do we want it on the side, or do we think it would be mounted
I think that'd be
thusly?
It'd be quite difficult to walk like that, wouldn't it? Because as soon as he puts his paw down, he'd be stabbing himself in the foot.
Is whether or not we accept that it can kind of... So what we do there is we think about form. If we add some hinging, so it looks like it folds, and then this element at the front here, we hinge and we make it look like it has an armor plate that almost covers the paw when he's walking. So this is to do then with just modifying the design for that. Again, like we say, it's not realistic, but it is plausible. Is always what we're kind of thinking about. So while we're at it, let's go to our stake.
Every time you say the word plausible, immediately my brain is like plausible.
So we're going to take our steak.
Like a slightly smaller steak, wouldn't we, if we're launching it?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to lengthen the steak, and then I'm going to trim at the back. I'm going to hit 9. Tom knows. The trim brush, it's a great brush, but it's one of the flakier functions in ZBrush. We're going to trim that off. That worked perfectly. I'll turn that into an insert mesh. See, I should also say, for anyone who is interested in getting to ZBrush, this method of working, of like having lots of little sub projects within my main project where I can make little pieces and sort of almost like having a sketchbook scratch area. It's a way of doing things, but the joy of ZBrush is that there are so many workflows that you can have in it that are valid. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. It is just an option. So I would hate anyone to go away going, I've been learning ZBrush and I don't do it like that. I must be doing it wrong. If you're getting the result you want, you're not doing it wrong.
So I guess technically we can now have that, the drawstring of the crossbow kind of mold itself around as well and stuff. And
yeah, we'll adjust that in just a second. What I'm going to do here is just and drag on here and hold the Alt key down because I want the steak to be a little fatter for showing up. I don't want it to be any longer.
Oh, it's rolling. Sorry, I know that shouldn't have blown my mind, but I was like, oh my god, it's rolling.
Oh my god.
The cylinder can roll.
Science has gone too far, guys.
We were so busy thinking if we could.
I'm just looking at all the little bits, just looking for stuff I can be like, oh yeah, that one.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, having these little libraries of shapes are so great because we can take a shape like this. So what I'm doing here is I want to stretch this like this. It's going to be like a slingshot, and then I'm going to open this up, choose this bend arc function, just pull on here.
Nice.
Oh.
Click accept, and then that just gets dropped into place. And now we have a sense that there is something there that would push that thicker object forward.
This is so cool.
Right. Have a look at that in situ. We'll just turn the original bolt off and see how that looks.
So it's so realistic that you like turned it towards us, and I was like, "Ooh!"
I want to.
Liv, you sound like one of the people who like first ever saw a film and ran away
Yeah.
because they thought the train was coming at them.
I still do that now, Wheels.
That's why you're so good at role-playing games. You just get so immersed.
I really am. Method.
So then this is just going to be a case of tweaking exactly where on the model this thing sits until it feels the most. This is what I would call our principal silhouette. Is you're most likely to pick this model up and look at it from this direction. So whatever we do with this crossbow, we want it to work in our principal silhouette. So that feels pretty good. And what we can do to reinforce, because that angle looks right, so to reinforce it, what we do is we actually adjust the wrist on the original model to give the sense that foreleg is turning in a similar way.
We could probably pop the leg out from the body a little bit as well to give it a bit more room.
Yeah, I think that is very much some. Oh, that looks strange because we've got the duplicate.
All right.
And I'm going to have to move those claws in a second to fall into place. So we'll mask those, invert the mask, move that to there, and just spin them. Hello, what's going on there? We had a symmetry function turned on, so it was trying to do strange things to them. So move them like that. That feels a bit better. Okay, how are we for time?
We have got 7 minutes left. So let's try and get that prosthetic leg on, maybe, and then I think we're good to.
I think that would be an excellent way to try and finish.
Yeah.
We may not get a final design because I will be honest. This is new territory for me. Ironically, having designed wheelchairs, I haven't actually done any prosthesis pieces. So, and certainly not an animal design one. So.
Very specialized.
If if you've got any meat hooks, that's a similar shape, and that's something that appears on a lot of models. So
it's this is going to be. I'm not sure I've got anything that's super suitable, but we can create something fairly easily.
On something unrelated and probably not very important, there's a hunk of steak ready for you in the folder.
I'll grab it in just a second.
Excellent.
How about it's on the base and it's using it to lure in monsters like bait?
That could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
If we've run out of space, which I probably assume we probably have run out of space on the actual.
I mean,
so what?
The thing is, if you
the
want
way
to
I'm
have that
gonna
steak hanging from the belt, you've got will have made a hook shape from making this prosthetic leg, so we can potentially reuse that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing here is I'm bringing this flat plane in and aligning it with the leg, which is going to give me a surface that I can basically draw on to draw the shape that we want this thing to be, using our leg as our reference point. Then we can take what should we use? I wonder if I should use the strap brush, Tom, which will give me that rectangular cross section, and then just adjust the thickness.
That works.
That should. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we can make this work. Right, look at the pictures. So it needs to basically come down and kind of be like that, doesn't it? But I need to. And what I need to do is draw it in several straight elements that we can combine.
Yeah. What's exciting is that because this is something you've not done before, just how we've all come together, us in the chat, and we've made something entirely new.
Yeah.
It is entirely new, and that is exciting. That is, one of the daily joys for me when we're working as a team at work is the collaborative process. We'll be designing stuff as a group. And getting feedback on each other's bits of work. And this is what we're doing now is very similar to the process that we go through there. I like the idea of having this come a little bit past and having just like a spring or a cantilever or something in here.
So I was just looking at a picture, and I think the actual prosthesis they use for running, they sort of attach to the back of the calf that's still remaining, sort of thing.
Okay.
If that helps. If not, then pretend I didn't say that.
What I want to do is I want to take our leg and I'm just going to turn off this. It's so funny. I'm not deleting it. I'm only turning it off. It's like I don't want to upset anybody because, we're taking his leg off and he's a good boy.
Yeah, we're not doing a live amputation, we promise.
No doggos were harmed in the making of this model.
So I think something like this, and I'm not sure we're going to have time to do a great deal of detailing, but just to give an idea of where we're going, we'll just add a couple of shapes to it, just so that it feels a little more designed. And
Got an interesting question in chat. It's like, how much of the sculpt process is influenced by where the mold lines go and the tooling?
Wow.
It's interesting because it's kind of a mix of both. We while we're doing the models, we're like trying to say, it's like when we're doing the candle, trying to be mindful of where the tooling goes, but we don't want it to restrict us too much. And then once we finish the model, we look back at it and say, right, how can we make this best for tooling? So our initial sort of creative ideas and visions aren't too hampered early on.
There is a really interesting kind of dialogue that goes on between the sculpting team and our production partners who are responsible for the mass production of the models, where we're talking, in terms of changes that we can make that don't compromise the sort of vision of the model. Let's just get this on and see how it's looking. I have a feeling that we might find this needs to lift a little higher once once the piece is in. So I'm just gonna group that as its own mask, which means that when I click on it, it'll get hidden.
Okay.
And we can see what we've got.
Yeah.
Look at
that. The claws now.
Yeah.
And we'll do the same thing with the claws. We'll just go to that subtool for the claws, which is, where is it? I've lost it. There it is. And we'll just group those as their own shape and hide them.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, look at this. Look at this.
I need to lift it a little
Hero.
higher, I think. But I am kind of loving this.
Yeah.
Let's
we're hitting 6 o'clock, so I think, to be honest,
that's pretty good going.
Yeah, that's a pretty good place to stop. I mean, he looks fantastic. Yeah. Can we get like a final sort of tour of the model?
Yeah, I'm gonna do two things. First of all, we're gonna load up a nice shadow.
Ooh.
Because this will just punch all the detail a bit more when we hit this render mode. Boom! Look at that!
Oh,
look at that!
Yeah, under the brim of the hat and everything.
Shadowing.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have a look around. So,
wow. Oh, I love him.
Want to. So things I want to do. I do want to add some weapons here. I feel that this is where his silvered sword and silvered dagger can go. And we'll add some like holy water bottles and potion bottles here. I'm in two minds about this piece of armor now that we've developed the rest of the model. I'm not 100% that it fits, but I do like the idea of the chainmail element, so I may introduce some chainmail in a different way. I do like the idea of this Witchfinder General type collar.
Yeah,
there's a certain Matthew Hopkins kind of vibe going on. But yeah, I think we've got the makings of something really, really cool here.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
So
100%. This is because Tom and I had a discussion prior to this about the design elements that we might consider, and it looked nothing.
Wow,
nothing like this.
Yeah.
So let's just put him on a rotate so people can see.
Oh, there he goes. Look. Oh my goodness.
So this is what makes the process so exciting. Is this is a completely unique and for me at least completely unexpected design direction, but I really like it.
Yeah,
I really think it's really cool. It really tells a story. You know, we've got a lot of narrative into this design, which I'm really excited to polish up and develop.
I've had a fantastic time. So thanks very much.
Yeah, same. Yeah, thanks so much.
But if you want to learn more about Animal Adventures, either one of you, I know it'll probably get palmed off to Russ again, but either one of you, please tell us where we can find out more and where we can back you on Kickstarter as well.
So, to find out about Animal Adventures, if you were to visit the steamforge.com website, we have a whole section on there which shows all of the existing models. It shows the existing book, Gullet Cove, which I happen to have, genuinely, by coincidence, I happen to have down here.
Hey.
It's beautiful, hardback, full colour, lavishly illustrated. It's a great book. We have top talent. Artists from Magic the Gathering, official D&D products, all sorts of amazing artists working on it. And then, so although that book's not necessary for Faraway Sea to get the complete set, the complete experience, you'd own both. But Faraway Sea is out now. It's kind of a companion book to that, in that it contains all of the rules. I'm sure I turned that screensaver off. Yeah, it contains all of the rules for all of the new animals. It contains pre-generated characters for the dogs and cats that we're designing now. Dog and cat character rules are found inside Gullet Cove. Both books come with campaigns. In addition to that, we have an extensive range of miniatures already out. But all of the new animals, the koala, the alpaca, the otter, all of these fantastic new animals are in the Faraway Sea Kickstarter, which is currently live. It is currently it's storming along. If people join us at the moment, they will be joining over 4,500 other people that have decided that they want some more animal adventures in their life. So please go and check out the Kickstarter page. Please check out the product, and we would love to. We'd love to see everybody out there in the faraway seas with us.
Yeah, if you'd like to find a link to that Kickstarter page, all you have to do is scroll down to the description of this video where we've got it there. So go and have a look and maybe think about back. And if you want to see this model in person when it's fully finished, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do something similar as well. But you'll also find links to all of the places where you can support Dicebreaker as well. So thank you very much for coming here. If this is your first time ever visiting Dicebreaker, we've done a few things now with Steamforged, friends of the channel, you might call them. So look forward to more of that. But also you can get more of us just by hitting the subscribe button. You can also click the bell icon to get notified whenever we put a new video live. If you want to see more sort of written articles, reviews and previews and interviews and all that kind of stuff, you can head over to dicebreaker.com, where we've got a fantastic team of writers who tell us all about the latest and greatest from the tabletop, whether it's board games, card games, RPGs, you name it. And you can also get some exclusive Dicebreaker merch over on dicebreaker.myshopify.com. lastly, we've got a brand new thing to talk about, which has made this outro even longer, which is how you can become a Dicebreaker Plus member, which means you'll get extra videos every month, emotes that you'll see in the chat. You can see that Emma Benton has got the little badge by her name, for example, the little pink D4, which will level up with every sort of gap of months that you've been sub to us. But yeah, there's loads and loads of ways to support Dicebreaker, so if you enjoyed your time here, please do stick around. We'd love to have you here. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next video. A massive thank you to our Steamforge friends for coming over and showing us all of this. Genuinely, it's been amazing. We've had a great time. So if you want to do this kind of thing again, then you just let us know. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.